Crime intelligence boss General Dumisani Khumalo just dropped bombshell testimony at the Madlanga Commission. It was a day of fives, the big five elements of the cartel, and 5 key WhatsApp chats revealed. What are all these fives? In today's episode, we are going to continue with our explainers and our summaries. We've got you covered. Sit back. Let's untangle the testimony. Spread the fire. Welcome back to SMWX, or the Mpofu-Walsh experience. If you're new around here, on this channel we explore South African politics through interviews and analysis. And we have a blockbuster series of episodes that are generating huge views and huge interest as we summarize the Madlanga Commission and the day's testimony. And today, once again, we dive into that testimony. Just want to say thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing. We really feel the love and support on this channel. So, crime intelligence boss Dumisani Khumalo had his first day of testimony at the Madlanga Commission today. And I'd like to explore 3 avenues of his testimony. First, I want to get right to the controversial parts and talk about how he exposed some elements of what are now called the Big Five. That's a cartel that pushes drugs, fraud, all kinds of criminal activity, and apparently has its influence over government. Then I want to speak about some key WhatsApp chats that Khumalo previewed, where he actually has conversation evidence of one member of the Big Five speaking to all kinds of different important officials. So that'll be part 1. Then I want to look at a really fascinating point of this testimony, which will help us understand all of this in more depth, where he speaks about how this cartel functions. This is one of the first times in South African history where we've had a crime intelligence boss who lives, eats, and breathes this stuff, explaining to South Africans how criminal syndicates actually work and operate. It's terrifying and it's fascinating. And then finally, just speak about some of the political implications, some of the other things that have been going on around this commission. Former President Mbeki was speaking. The SIU is outing Cyril Ramaphosa's nephew. It's a lot. So let's get into it. Number 1, General Khumalo told us more about what he calls the Big Five. Now, I want to bring up a graphic to show you what we learned today from the testimony, because there are 5 key figures in this cartel that the police are calling the Big Five. And we got told today that we know 2 of them. And let me show you who the 2 are in this cartel. So we know we've got Vusumuzi Matlala, who's on the bottom right there. He's been a key figure who got this tender from the Tembisa Hospital, various other tenders. He got this big police healthcare tender, and of course, you have heard lots about Kat Matlala. On the bottom left, we've also got Katiso Molefe, who is also under arrest, and firearms in some of the cases related to him link both to the murder of whistleblowers and celebrities like DJ Somebody. But what we also learned today was that we have 3 more members, and we also learned the structure of this Big Five. So, of course, there are fascinating questions about, okay, who is this third person on this kind of bottom layer of remember, this is kind of the top of the pyramid of the cartel in the first place, but we have a third figure there. And then we have this interesting structure where we've got this mega boss at the top, and then this other figure who comes in from the side is not connected to the bottom 3 directly, but is connected to the mega boss. So this is the diagram of the Big Five. Now, unfortunately, we don't know who these other members are, because apparently it's going to threaten investigations. I think we should know their names, quite frankly. We're here now. South Africa's in the grip of a cartel. Let's find out who they are. But General Khumalo has applied to have that evidence led in camera. So that was the first 5, the Big Five, and we learned a little bit more about how that Big Five operates. Some interesting questions arise. Are members of that Big Five politicians? Are members of that Big Five in the criminal justice system? Are they business people who just look like ordinary business people that we don't know? Are they names that we know, or are they names that we don't know, controlling these things from the shadows so that some of their underlings are the people who have taken the real fall for this, while the true bosses still remain anonymous? So it's getting real. This day, I think, really just showed that it's getting very real, and goodness knows what else is going to emerge from this Mkhwanazi commission, because things are getting quite terrifying. So to back up his claims, General Khumalo then told us about 5 key WhatsApp chats. And this is particularly in relation to one member of the Big Five, Kat Matlala. And the reason we have this information is because Kat Matlala's residence was raided and his cell phone was taken in that raid. And so his cell phone records were then copied and analyzed by members of the criminal justice system. So we had a unique insight into how one of these members of the Big Five was communicating, and this gives us further insight into this cartel. So who are these key 5 people? We've got Kat Matlala speaking to, number 1, an intermediary between politicians and the criminal justice system. I'll get into more depth. Number 2, a senior official in the Hawks. That's the police body that's supposed to look into corruption. Number 3, we've got a local police chief in a Gauteng metro. These are all conversations with Kat Matlala, remember. Number 4, we've got Calvin Rafadi, an academic and commentator on crime in South Africa. And number 5, we've got a businessman by the name of Suleiman Karim. So take a look at this clip, because this is where Khumalo explains the kinds of chats that he is about to unload on South Africa. Have a look.
Chats that I'll be taking the commission through. Number 1 is communication between Mr. Vusimuzi Matlala and Mr. Brown Mokgotsi, who is a businessman linked to several SAPS officials, and he appears to have been involved in funding activities for the Minister of Police within the ANC. A printout of WhatsApp chats between Matlala and Brown Mokgotsi is attached as WB1 in the WhatsApp bundle.
The second?
The second one will be the communication between Mr. Vusimuzi Matlala and Major General Sinona, who is the head of DPCI in KwaZulu-Natal. A printout of the WhatsApp chats between Mr. Matlala and Major General Sinona is attached as Annex Chat WB2.
And the third? Oh, sorry, there's 2 related to...
Yeah, under the same number 2 is also a printout of WhatsApp chats between Mr. Vusimuzi Matlala and Eitato Sinona, who is the son of Major General Sinona. That is attached as WB3.
And the third set of communications?
The third set is the communication between Mr. Vusimuzi Matlala and the acting chief of police in Ekurhuleni Metropolitan Police, Mr. Julius Mkhwanazi. A printout of the WhatsApp chats between Mr. Matlala and Mr. Mkhwanazi is attached as Annex WB4.
Just a second.
Sorry, General.
It's real. It's very real. And he goes on to explore 2 more chats. One with, as I say, Calvin Rafadi, this academic / commentator on crime. And then this businessman, Suleiman Karim, I apologize. So let's take a look at this, because there's some fascinating patterns that emerge. These 5 chats between these 5 people, and by the way, apparently there are more chats that again have to be covered in secrecy because of ongoing investigations. But the 5 we learned of today show how the cartel spreads its tentacles into different parts of South African society in order to garner influence and secure protection. So the first is the cartel needs intermediaries between itself and politicians. So of course, as a criminal cartel boss, you don't want to be sending politicians WhatsApps yourself, right? You want to send a WhatsApp to someone so that they can send the message on to a politician, so that the message gets back to that intermediary and not to you. So that's presumably or arguably the Brown Mokgotsi link. So that's the first kind of conversation that we're going to see. I cannot wait to see these WhatsApp conversations tomorrow, people, to see what they reveal. And the Brown Mokgotsi thing is really important because it's not just to a police minister, because he's accused of speaking to the police minister on behalf of this cartel through Kat Matlala. It's about funding of the ANC. It's getting so lit, people. The ANC is now being implicated as a party because these criminal syndicates are funding the party. How are you going to stop corruption when corruption is funding you? It's crazy, people. We're living in a 10-episode series. So that's Brown Mokgotsi, and that's why that's wild. This is why the business part is, the business and hawks thing is wild, right? Because then, of course, as a cartel boss, what do you need? You need to secure influence within the police. The people who are supposed to investigate corruption, that's the hawks. It's a specialized body set up to stop corruption. Guess what? Kat Matlala's WhatsApping the head of the hawks in KZN. We need to see what this conversation is about. But of course, what you need to do is suppress the people who are going to investigate you. Cool. And now this person's son is apparently doing business with Kat Matlala, so this person has been neutralized. According to the evidence we heard today, of course, there's more evidence to come, and we'll see if there's anything to contradict that. Then what you need is police people, just normal police chiefs. That's the local Ekurhuleni police boss, acting police chief Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, not to be confused with the other Mkhwanazi. Is it Nhlanhla? Is his first name Nhlanhla? Julius Mkhwanazi, I apologize. So Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi obviously is the main Mkhwanazi. Julius Mkhwanazi is the Ekurhuleni police chief. Then we've got Calvin Rafadi. Now this is interesting to me because Mkhwanazi mentioned this person's name. He said he admitted he knew Kat Matlala, they grew up together, but he said his name should never have been mentioned. This is an academic, so someone from academia, someone who comments in the media, and again, let's wait to see what these WhatsApps reveal, because this one is just an outlier for me. And then, of course, you've got a business connection, this Suleiman Karim. So we, again, need to see what the links here are, and that will be revealed in more detail tomorrow. So we got fascinating insights today into who this Big Five are, what the structure is, and some of the communications that they sent out to different areas of South African society to secure their interests. Now, why does this matter, and why was this testimony so interesting for me today? Because Khumalo actually took us into the structure of the cartel itself. And I want to explore some of that, because Khumalo basically said a lot of things that showed us how this cartel works. See, one day I'm going to do an episode where I have a whole diagram for you and I'm going to draw stuff out. We do these very quickly, so we don't have time right now. But a picture is beginning to emerge, right? So you have that Big Five, that cartel structure. And what is that cartel trying to do? That cartel is trying to get as much money as it can as a cartel through legal and illegal means. So that means it has to draw in drug money. It has to draw in money from cash in transit heists. It has to draw in money from bombing ATMs. It has to draw in money from kidnappings. It has to draw in money from contract killing. It also has to draw in money in the legitimate part of it from government tenders. So you have these fraudulent companies that look like real companies that end up pressuring politicians into giving this cartel tenders. So it's amassing all this wealth and power. But when you do that and you break the law, what do you have to do? You have to make sure that the people who would hold you accountable for that, who would send you to court, who would get you arrested, who would create policies to avert that they are in your pocket too. So this cartel is not just doing all this illegal stuff, it's also creating a plan to influence the political class so that they insulate the cartel from accountability. And how do you do that? You compromise the police, you compromise correctional services, you compromise the hawks, you compromise criminal justice, you compromise police ministers. And so you make sure that no matter what happens, you can be insulated and you enjoy this world of impunity. Now, we also heard how the cartel itself actually functions and how they recruit. This for me was crazy because they look for these key characteristics. So I want you to have a look at this clip and then I'm going to come into why all of this matters.
Income for financial stability, which is a competition for the normal employment channels or environments that we have in the country. I've touched on the new entrants who are then motivated by the rates in terms of regular income, which is much quicker in that employment, more especially if you are going to be a syndicate specializing in contract killings but working for the cartel, because there you are paid as you work.
And then paragraph 75.
Then moving to...
That's just concluding a modus operandi.
In conclusion, on the operations, as I've indicated, that there is a very strict recruitment strategy or process, because one of the objectives of the cartel is to remain in operations for a very long time. So that is dependent on strong connections within the public and private sectors within the operation area. So it is an ongoing effort to cultivate relationships with politicians, law enforcement officers, and business leaders within the operation area of the cartel. That is done solely to sustain.
So there you see how Khumalo explores some of the inner workings of these cartels. In terms of recruitment, this I found very interesting. So he said that there are some key characteristics that you need when you're recruiting someone into a cartel. So what this cartel is looking for, if you're going for a job interview with the cartel, number one, you have to have a criminal history. But your criminal history has to be such that you have avoided a lot of charges. So you've been in court a lot of times, but you haven't been convicted, because that shows that you have sway over the criminal justice system. Cool. Job criteria number two. You must be able to get government tenders or have some links or pressure with the political system. Criterion number three. You must have the ability to sway the criminal justice system. Number four, and this was interesting, dual citizenship. So you must be able to move between different countries and evade arrest in different places. And this is interesting because I've been piecing together a timeline over time that I'm building up, but one of the interesting things about Vusumuzi Matlala is that he was between South Africa and Swaziland on a number of occasions. So he was moving at least between those two borders, we know that, and so dual citizenship matters. Now, what Khumalo further revealed, which blew my mind, was that as this cartel develops, one of the things they learn how to do is set up their own private security company. Yes, a criminally led private security company, only in South Africa. Because then you get access to firearms legally. So now you use your private security company as a front for the guns that you use in your criminal activities. It's crazy. We are living in a movie, people. So I found it fascinating to look at the inner workings of this cartel. Let's come to some of the politics as we close out. Firstly, we had former President Thabo Mbeki commenting on all of this. Let's take a look at what he said about Mkhwanazi's revelations in this clip.
No, I think the important issue that's being raised correctly by Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi is the kind of rot that is set in our country. He's pointed to a very, very important issue, this connection between crime and government, criminals and politicians, the weakening generally of the criminal justice system, including all its elements, policing, prosecution, etc. I'm very, very glad that Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi had the courage to speak out on this thing. Because at last now we have the possibility of the Matlanga Commission, which will then hear evidence from everybody. So at least the country has a picture of what's the real state of the criminal justice system. Who are these criminals who are doing all sorts of terrible things? Who are they? Where do they come from? How do they operate? To answer those questions, because in the end, there must come a comprehensive response to the issue of crime and corruption in the country, a comprehensive response, and I'm sure that's going to come out of what the Matlanga Commission will hear. And therefore, the practical, actual steps, what is to be taken, will be based on concretely what is happening in the country. I'm very, very, very glad indeed that General Mkhwanazi, General Masemula, the leadership of the police have decided that they must speak out publicly about all of these things, because I think the country needs it.
There we go. Just lamentation after lamentation from ANC politicians. And we had the SIU today releasing an interim report, which again just shows us how deep these networks go. And when you really take a step back, I covered this in my conversation last week with Ukoko Aubrey Machikli, one of South Africa's premier political analysts. Check that conversation out. It's been watched more than 200,000 times now. How deep does this go? Could it be that every government department in South Africa has 3, 4, 5 syndicates feasting on it? I mean, we just know about healthcare and policing right now, and we have a commission on those two things, and we're finding all kinds of things. Now, today, the SIU finds that in terms of Tembisa Hospital, there were 3 major syndicates, and then there were like 7 sub-syndicates feasting on a 2 billion rand budget that was supposed to go to poor people getting public health care, a lot of the time during a pandemic. What if this is just everywhere? That's the scary thought. Now, this SIU report highlights Cyril Ramaphosa's nephew, Morgan Maumela, as one of the key, what they call syndicate leaders, who got something like 800 million rand out of this Tembisa hospital. So again, we're hearing too many uncomfortable stories about people closest to the highest politicians in our country. And the revelations are starting to lead in a direction that is going to look very, very scary for the ANC, for the Ramaphosa administration, and for goodness knows who else after that. So a lot to come. There's other stuff happening in South African politics. I'm going to look at that tomorrow because it's inconclusive at the moment. Is Gayton McKenzie going to leave the GNU? Julius Malema has his judgment being read about whether he'll be sentenced for discharging a firearm. By the way, that judgment was read for like 7 hours and we still don't know what the verdict is. I've never seen that in my life. Like, what is going on with a judgment? How do you allow a criminally accused person to wait overnight to see if they're actually like going to be convicted because you couldn't read your own judgment fast enough? Like, guys, what's going on in our country, man? So we have a lot happening, and I'll cover some of that tomorrow. Look, stick around. I know that it's all very complex at the moment, but as long as you keep following this channel, you will get a deeper insight into the Matlanga Commission. We do these summaries for you. We also stream the commission, so you can go back and watch. And when we stream it, we actually cut out the breaks. We add some timestamps so you can navigate it more easily. By the way, one other thing. the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee met last week Friday, because they're also going to have their own parliamentary inquiry. And I got worried, guys. Like, I've never seen parliamentarians not take their jobs seriously like this. Like, the chair is calling in via Zoom from his car, guys. What? Like, this is a serious matter, guys. And parliamentarians are like, nah, we don't want to switch our cameras on. Yeah, we're public representatives, but we'd rather be in private right now. Like, the meeting took 4 hours, okay? And they had to decide two things. Number one, who are the witnesses that they're going to call? And number two, what are they going to do about members on the committee who have been mentioned by Mkhwanazi, and so they'll have to be recused themselves or not? Did they decide on the witness list? They spoke for 2 hours, and then they were like, the ANC was like, actually, let's decide the witness list after Mkhwanazi testified. So that was a waste of time, because the whole meeting was called so that they could come up with a witness list. And then on the recusal, they were like, yeah, again, let's wait and see how things go. So 4 hours late, then they started bickering between each other about who should be there and who can't be there, and can alternates speak and can't they speak. Yay! South Africa needs you to wake up. Wakker op, Parliament. Jeez. This is serious, man. I was just shocked by that meeting. They've been messing about and mucking about for like nearly 2 months now. Messing documents up, and it's almost as if there's a coordinated strategy to delay this thing. So I really hope when these committee investigations or these hearings actually start and they are in person, we'll get a much more professional outlook. Because at the moment, it's simply embarrassing the way this parliamentary committee has been dragging its feet and just being lackadaisical about its work. Like, share, subscribe. We'll catch you on the next one, and keep it locked on SMWX. Aye. I don't know where that came from.